Story number 1. The Hollow Silence. Mira hadn't wanted to stay home alone, but her parents were adamant. They had a long overdue anniversary trip planned, and the backup babysitter canceled last minute. Mira was 16, old enough, they said, to take care of herself for just one weekend. It would be quiet, they promised. Peaceful. But the moment the front door shut behind them and the taillights disappeared down the street, the house stopped feeling like home. Felt hollow. Too quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind of quiet that you could hear beneath. The kind where silence doesn't rest, it breathes. That first night, Mira couldn't sleep. Every creak of the floorboards, every moan of the old pipes seemed louder than usual. She tried to tell herself it was just her nerves, but even the air had changed. Felt thicker, damp almost. At 2:14 a.m., the bathroom faucet turned on by itself. She froze in bed, heart hammering. She hadn't used that bathroom, and the handle was old. You had to crank it hard to get it to turn. She didn't go check. She couldn't, not even with all the lights on. She just waited, staring at her bedroom door, until the sound of running water stopped exactly 3 minutes later. The next morning, she found the bathroom dry, except for the mirror. A single handprint smeared into the fogged surface. But the air was cold. There shouldn't have been condensation at all. She texted her best friend, Lex, who replied, "Haunted, 100%. You're in a horror movie. GTFO." That night, Mira locked her bedroom door and left every light in the house on. It didn't matter. At 3:07 a.m., she woke up to the sound of humming. A child's voice, tuneless, broken, but definitely in her room. It was right behind her headboard. She sat up in the dark. The lights, all of them, were off. Her phone was dead. She tried the switch. Nothing. The humming continued for 30 seconds, then stopped, followed by a knock. 3 slow knocks on the inside of her closet door. She grabbed the baseball bat beside her bed, approached the closet with shaking hands, and yanked it open. Nothing. But all her clothes were on the floor, and scratched into the wood on the back wall, behind where her dresses usually hung, were the words, "Don't close your eyes." She didn't sleep. The next day, she told herself it was all in her head. She was just tired, stressed. But she noticed things. The living room couch cushions were all on the floor. Her parents' wedding photo was turned face down. The front door was unlocked even though she'd bolted it. By evening, the power was still out, and her phone wouldn't take a charge. She made up her mind to leave, go to Lex's house. She grabbed her backpack, keys, and bat and headed for the front door. But when she opened it, there was no outside, just blackness. No street, no porch, no sky, just an impossible, endless dark. She screamed. She slammed the door shut and turned around. The house was different. It was the same house, but wrong. The paint was peeling. The air was cold. The pictures on the walls were unfamiliar. Her parents weren't in them. A family of 3 stared out instead: mom, dad, little girl. All pale. All smiling too wide. All staring directly at her. And then she heard the footsteps upstairs. Slow. Deliberate. Coming down the hallway toward her room. Story number 2. The crawl space. Nina always hated the crawl space. It was the one part of the house her parents never touched when they renovated. Low ceiling, no lights, packed with old junk from the previous owners. Yellowed boxes, broken furniture, picture frames turned backward. She'd only peeked inside once as a kid. Something about the stillness in there felt wrong, like the air hadn't moved in decades. She'd forgotten about it, until she had to stay home alone. Her parents were out of town for the weekend, and her brother was off at college. It was just Nina, her cat Milo, and the echoing quiet of their big old farmhouse. The first day was fine, uneventful, but that night Milo started acting weird. He wouldn't leave the upstairs landing, just sat there, tail twitching, staring down the hallway toward the stairs. Every time she picked him up, he clawed at her until she let go, and went right back to that spot. She tried to laugh it off, even texted a picture of him to her friend with the caption, "He sees ghosts, LOL." She wasn't laughing when she heard the thump. It came from beneath the floorboards, right below the hallway, directly under where Milo sat. She froze. Then it came again. A heavy, dragging sound like someone crawling on their elbows. Slow. Deliberate. She waited, heart racing, until it stopped. The next morning, she found the attic door open, which made no sense. There was a latch and it was always locked shut. Inside, nothing had changed. Just dust, cobwebs, and the smell of rotting insulation. Except one thing. In the corner of the attic was the door to the crawlspace. A wooden square, built into the wall. It was open now. Barely. Just a crack. As she stepped closer, she realized something was scratched into the wood around it. Not with a knife. With fingernails. "Let me out." She slammed it shut and ran back downstairs. She tried to shake it off. Told herself it was just old damage she'd never noticed. But that night, the noises came again. Louder. This time they moved. From under the hallway to under her bedroom. Then 3 soft knocks beneath her bed. She leapt up, flicked on her phone flashlight, and crouched to look. Nothing. But Milo was gone. She called for him for hours. Nothing. No meow, no pattering paws. At 3:11 a.m., her phone buzzed. No service. But a message still came through. A photo. It was of Milo. In the crawlspace. Eyes wide. Pinned down. A shadow behind him. She dropped the phone and screamed. She ran to the attic. She didn't care how dark it was. She had to get him. She threw the crawlspace door open and shined her flashlight inside. Dust floated in the beam like snow. And there, at the back of the crawlspace, were eyes. Human eyes. White. Watching. Then a face slid into view. Not walked, slid. Like it had no limbs. Its body coiled behind it like a centipede made of flesh. Its skin gray and wet, stretched too tight over its face. Its mouth opened in a silent scream, revealing rows of teeth that didn't belong in a human mouth. Milo's collar was hanging from one of its fingers. She slammed the crawlspace door and ran. Locked herself in the bathroom. Cried. Prayed. Rocked in the corner for hours. When she came out, morning light had filled the house. Milo was back, sleeping peacefully in the hallway. His eyes opened lazily when she touched him. But they weren't his eyes. Story number 3. The 3rd floor. When Jeremy moved into the old townhouse, he was told the 3rd floor was off-limits. "It's sealed," the landlord had said. "The staircase is bricked over. No access, no worry." He thought it was strange. Why rent out only 2 floors of a 3-floor home? But the price was good, and Jeremy didn't care. He worked nights. He just needed a quiet place to sleep during the day. It was quiet. Too quiet. Even during the day, the air felt still and heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. He only noticed it his 2nd week there, when he heard someone walking upstairs. Heavy steps, pacing, just above the bedroom ceiling. His ceiling fan trembled with each step. He checked outside, thinking maybe there was another entrance. But the windows up there were boarded shut, tight with rusted nails. No way in. He asked the landlord again. "There's no 3rd floor," the man snapped. "It's sealed. Don't ask again." That night, Jeremy lay in bed with headphones on, trying to block it out. The walking started again, then dragging, like furniture being pulled across the floor. He yanked the headphones off. It stopped instantly. Then something fell. A loud crash directly above. And from the ceiling corner near the closet, dust sifted down, landing on his blanket. He stared at the spot all night, heart pounding. The next day, he bought a flashlight and started knocking on the walls. Nothing. But when he tapped the ceiling near the corner, it sounded hollow. He stacked a chair on his bed and reached up. There was a seam, an attic hatch he'd never noticed. Painted over, but there. With shaking fingers, he chipped the edge loose. Creaked open. Above was darkness and cold air. Something clinked, metal against metal. He climbed down and didn't sleep. The next day, he found something on his kitchen table. A key. Rusty. Ancient looking. He hadn't put it there. That night, his phone glitched out completely. No signal. All his photos were gone, replaced by black images with static lines. Except one. It was a photo of him, asleep in bed, taken from above. The timestamp, 3:19 a.m. He checked his security cam. It was wiped. When he walked back into his bedroom, the attic hatch was wide open. He left the house, slept in his car. But when he returned the next morning, every light in the house was on. The key was back on the table, and there were footprints. Filthy, wet footprints on the stairs, leading from the living room up to the bricked-over wall that once led to the third floor. Except now the bricks were gone, and the staircase waited, unlit, rising into pitch black. Jeremy stepped closer, flashlight shaking. He shouldn't have, but something was pulling him forward. Not physically, mentally, like the idea to climb was planted in him, and now his body just obeyed. Each step creaked. At the top he found a hallway. Wallpaper peeled like dead skin. Doors lined the walls, but all were nailed shut, except one. A child's room, dusty toys, a rocking horse, and in the far corner a crib, empty, until he blinked. Then the blanket twitched. He stepped back. His breath caught. A low sound came from the crib. A wheezing giggle. He ran, tripped halfway down the stairs, landed hard, looked back, and saw a shadow at the top. Thin, bent wrong. Story number 4. Behind the wallpaper. Talia had only been in the new house for 2 days when she found the first slit in the wallpaper. It was small, a razor-thin tear along the baseboard in the hallway, just behind where the console table had been. She hadn't noticed it before. When she brushed her finger over it, the wallpaper curled back easily. Underneath was not drywall. It was wood, old wood, like the inside of a coffin. She stared for a moment, then pressed the wallpaper back down and told herself not to worry. The house was over a century old, and she was only here temporarily, house-sitting for a family vacationing in Greece. Just 3 weeks. She could handle that. That night, something whispered in the hallway. It was subtle, just beyond the edge of hearing, like a voice submerged underwater. She paused her show and muted the TV, heart thudding. It stopped, until she pressed play again. Then came 3 knocks, soft, from the hallway. She stepped outside her room, calling, "Hello!" No answer. But the console table had been moved, just an inch, and the slit in the wallpaper was now wider. Talia pushed the table back into place and didn't sleep. The next morning she found more slits. 2 in the guest room, 1 behind the shower curtain, and 1 behind the bathroom mirror. She peeled it back. Wood again. But this time the surface had deep scratch marks, like nails clawing from the inside out. She texted the homeowners. No response. That night it escalated. It started with her hearing a voice saying her name, whispered low, like a breath right next to her ear. Then the lights flickered. The power cut out completely at 2:43 a.m. She lit a candle and tried to call for help. No signal. The hallway was pitch black except for the tiny circle of candlelight in front of her. Then the sound came again. Talia, Talia. She turned slowly. A slit had opened right before her eyes, about 6 feet long, tearing up the hallway wallpaper like invisible fingers slicing it down the center. And behind it, movement. Something shifting between the wooden boards. She stepped back, heart hammering. Something was behind the wall. The wood bulged outward, like something inside was pressing its face to the boards. Then came the groaning. The walls bent, nails creaked, and the whispering turned to a chorus. Children's voices. "Help us. Let us out. It hurts. He's still in here." She ran, locked herself in the bedroom. But every wall in the room had slits now. Some small, one stretching across the entire wall like a grin. The candle blew out on its own. And in the dark, something whispered. "You peeled it. Now we peel you." She screamed, fumbled for her phone flashlight. And when the light came on, she saw fingers. Pale, thin, gnarled fingers sliding out of the slits in the wall. Story number 5. Don't turn around. When Derek's parents left for the weekend, he didn't think twice. He'd stayed home alone plenty of times before. Quiet street, quiet house, stocked fridge, nothing to worry about. Until the phone rang. A landline. They didn't have a landline. He stared at the dusty phone in the hallway, unsure if it had even been plugged in. It rang again, loud, old-fashioned, like it belonged in a different decade. He answered on the third ring, static, then a voice, young, whispering, "Don't turn around." Click. He spun instinctively. No one there. He checked every door, every window, locked, nothing disturbed. And yet, the shadows in the living room looked wrong. Too long, stretching toward him like fingers when he wasn't looking. That night, he dreamed of someone standing at the foot of his bed, watching. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. He woke up gasping, room dark, drenched in sweat. Checked the clock. 3 a.m. He turned the light on. The hallway phone was off the hook. He hadn't touched it. He stepped out of the bedroom and froze. There were footprints on the carpet. Bare, wet, leading down the hallway. He followed them cautiously. They led to the guest room, door cracked just slightly. He hadn't been in there in weeks. He pushed it open slowly, bat held tight in his hand. Empty, until the closet door creaked. He pointed the bat. Something moved inside. He inched forward, reached out, and pulled it open. Nothing. Just coats, dust. And then the phone rang again. From inside the closet. A black rotary phone sat on the floor. Not plugged in. Still ringing. He stepped back. Didn't answer. It stopped after 5 rings. Then buzzed once. Voicemail. He picked up the receiver. "If you turn around, you'll let it in." He dropped the phone and slammed the closet shut. The house felt heavier. Every time he walked past a mirror, he noticed his reflection lagging, just for a second. Always smiling a little too long. By the second night, he'd covered every mirror in the house with towels. But the voices kept coming. Different now. Children. A woman. A man whispering in a hoarse, broken breath. "He sees you now." At exactly 3:33 a.m., Derek's phone lit up with a video message. No sender. No notification. Just a play button. He hit it with shaking hands. It was footage of him sleeping. Shot from above. Slow zoom. Then the figure appeared. Something in the dark corner of his room. Tall. Thin. Wrapped in black cloth. Face stitched shut with wire. It leaned closer to the bed, right behind him. Its hand hovered inches from his head. And just before the video ended, the figure turned toward the camera. And smiled. Derek screamed, dropped the phone, and ran downstairs. Every light exploded in sparks. Every towel fell off the mirrors. And in all of them he saw it, standing directly behind him. But when he turned, nothing. That was the rule. Don't turn around. The next morning he called his parents, begged them to come home. They told him they were already there. He ran outside. No car. No neighbors. Just fog. Endless, solid fog choking the street. And when he turned to go back inside, there was no door. Just a wall. And a new message carved into the wood. "You turned around."